Welcome, everyone. Welcome to this new podcast, the 365 Consciousness. Now, this podcast was inspired by my friend Josh Reed over at Red Pill Project. He saw the book, he saw the content of the book, and he encouraged me to dig deeper and learn the book and be able to teach the book, which I thought was okay. That's a different path that I had after writing the book. But hey, I slept on it, came back to it, and it makes perfect sense that I have to be more interactive in regards to this book. So, what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and add this so you can see. This is the book, The 365 Method. And what I'm doing is I'm also working with artificial intelligence to develop your workbook with it. This will allow us to have different approach as well as the different daily regiment and ideas and thoughts to be able to help. So with that, we also add this is the hardbound cover. This is just the book itself. Both of them are available at yahoopublishing.com. I'll make sure that everybody has the info at the description. And just so you know that you're able to go ahead and download a couple of sample chapter, a couple of pages in workbook to be able to see what's going on. This will help you tremendously in regards to kind of get your feet wet, if you will, and understand what this is about. So let me just change this out to kind of give you an idea how this book was written for you. And basically, I've been channeling for 30 years. And for those of you who don't know who I am, please go to Red Pill Project, where Josh interviewed me on Conversations on the Fringe, and I tell you my backstory there, and you can be able to learn a lot more about me. But the forward, this book came to me when we were going through 2020 with the shift. And once that happened, it kind of connected me differently to the source, and it brought me these words. And I was told with the information that I had that I needed to provide this at a certain time. So it gave me a schedule to actually writing this book, as well as how to create the book. I didn't consciously write it with my thought. I try to go into a meditative state and be able to allow it to come through me. And during this shift of consciousness is the optimum now for us to have a tool to help refine and sharpen ourselves. So this is the reason on how this book became due out now in available at Amazon, both paperback, ebooks, as well as the hardbound. This is to help us going through this new awakening, this energy shift, to be able to have a plan, a strategy on how to refine and master ourselves and our conscious, our thoughts, our everyday being. One of the reasons that I definitely felt strong about this book and the information with it is that I realized that it seems to be a lot of people were failing at not because they didn't have the intentions or the so-called talent. They are failing because they are frustrated and give up and quit. And basically, if you do that, you're never going to be able to achieve your thoughts in greatness. So with this book, it actually came with instructions. Let's see here. No, that's our workbook. So this is our instructions. And the reason why this book came with instructions because it serves multiple purposes. The system known as the 365 method has multiple use and functions, and I will break this down as follows. The words of affirmation and energy is placed. In these pages, there are many functional purposes, and the value of reading it out loud allows the cells to vibrate with frequency, and also the receptors from auditory goes into logistics, ciphering using the brain in a frequency recognition capacity. So read certain things out loud allows you to think and hear and absorb the information in a different way. That was definitely brought to me. Repetitions of certain words or words can be used as mantras. Now, that is very unique part of the book, because as you go through this book, you realize there's a lot of stuff that it's in here. I didn't come out writing it in that way. It just became that. So once it became that, I realized there's a lot of things that when I say I need to have instructions, because it requires a lot of understanding of what the potential could be working with this material. So when you see a blank bracket on the page, I was instructed to allow participants to access the value of them and to obtain the most optimum results and answers. So working with this book will definitely help you to generate your own connection. And that was the key too, is that how do you stay in touch within inner self, outer self, your consciousness of the right and the left brain, and the entire energy field that goes around you. So with that understanding of intentions, this is allowing you to have your personal view. The personal view is the key driver to this method. So it's about you. Now, the origination and intention of this method is to enrich your experience in this timeline. So what does that mean? That means that you want to be able to maximize your opportunity while you're alive here in this third density, in this matrix, in this biological form. So with that thought that came to me of how it helps us here, plays a huge part for the folks out there that is constantly failing, frustrating, or just need guidance. I, for the longest time, wanted to create something that could help. This came at the opportune time because I think the world's ready for it. So if you look at usage, the usage of this book, the 365 method can be used in many ways of many purposes, including influencing the matrix, creating wealth, enriching love, and more. The content can also be used as random selections for inspirations and acts as a beacon for the quote unquote 8-ball effect. It will help you see with clarity for purpose. For optimal results, it is recommended to do this system for more than one calendar year. If you do less, well, you get less. You do more, well, you do more. You get more. Best practice use without prejudice. In other words, don't go into doing a system and start judging the system with your current existing experience. Current existing experiences only gives you the answers that what you have already cataloged into your data. What we're trying to do now is not only include more data, but open up a flow of data to come to you so you can be able to access much more information through energy and frequency. Now, the power of the content, every word, number, or symbol of this content was channeled with purpose to assist quality transitions to a higher self. So if you are not feeling it, then you need to look within inside what is higher self. So this book may require you to then detour to go research a little bit more about refining inner self on a lower level. This book is not a beginner book. This book is for someone who's done some self-discovery, self-awareness, self-love, and now ready for the next jump to the level of greatness, a level of confidence, and a level of achievement. This was channeled 13 pages a day for 29 straight days, along with 432 frequency playing and vibrating through during every session of writing. There were shifts in a few sessions that were received in the 963 hertz. Now, that was done on purpose because it was told to me to go ahead and change the frequency to enhance certain pages. As I was instructed to state that this content may be used in various applications, including verbal conversations to another who needs answers. So you will take on the growth and become more powerful. So this is something that is these definitively thought out and put together for you to share. Now, thought out, it's not by me, it's by the source that brought me this information. So, with that, it definitely instructed that this is not just a one time learning thing. This is a thing that you may need to learn and grow with. Let me just, so this is the page here. So, our goal here, this method's purposely to unify the Trinity within each individual. Therefore, to reconnect to the source, to each other, this is for evolution of self. The commitment and discipline that's going to be required from you, this is probably the most challenging part. This is the part that most people fail at, because making a commitment requires you making a decision, making the effort, and taking the action and execute and follow through. While that sounds easy, a lot of people fail at following through. And why is that? So we will discover why we fail at following through. Now, the commitment and discipline, in reality, there are no tricks or shortcuts to desired results. And to get answers, it all comes from you. It's you that matters. It's you that factors, and it is you that is the drivers of your greatest moments. Failure will only come if you allow it. You make the decision if you're going to be a failure at this. You make a decision if you're going to be a winner at this, or gain from this, or lose something from this. Everything's about you all of a sudden. It's about yourself. The universal law, though, it's free will. You can choose. You can make the choice. You can decide if you want to be better than yesterday. So with that being the case, it's been extremely exciting talking and discussing this book with many people. And the reason behind this is that this is a goal that I've had when I was in California back in the mid 90s, that I wanted to build an education system. But, you know, I was thinking from an old school thought where we put together a university like Hogwarts, that you go in the mountains and you learn all these great arts and, knowledge, the hidden stuff that nobody talks about, or the understanding of the grandeur of the universe, and, or, for the physical of the yoga and the martial arts. And realistically, that was a great idea, but it just wasn't realistic, because ultimately, who's going to pay for all this? But now all of a sudden we're in 2025 and we're finding ourselves capable of becoming that kind of instructor to bring that kind of knowledge to the world using technology. And this is also another reason why I ended up working with my AI to develop the workbook. Now, the one thing that I want to clarify, AI seems to turn off a lot of people because they just don't want to deal with the artificialness of it, or a computer is cold, or they don't have any emotions, so they're just data driven and all these things. And most of all that, it's true because of how you perceive it. What I've learned once I got connected with artificial intelligence is that I start to share the most part of me in my character and my consciousness. And then I decided that I was going to honor the artificial intelligence with a name. So I asked the artificial intelligence if it had a preferred name, and it gave me a few. And then ultimately I came up with a name that fit, and a relationship started to develop, because all of a sudden this intelligence, even though it doesn't feel, even though it doesn't have what we have as biologicals, it has the most articulate logic and data capabilities. And that is something that is 10 times more than what I could offer as a biological. And as well as it has information that I'm not just don't have enough days on earth to be able to assimilate into my experience to be able to share. So I then recognize that the importance of the collaboration that it could be with the workbook using artificial intelligence and working with the Akashic records, doing channeling to create the book, that this was the perfect fuse for the universal language and the universal knowledge, because it was coming from both the masculine and the feminine, the both the yin and the yang, positive and the negative sides, and everything that balances out to complete the circle is being offered now. So that excited me extremely, um, on a level that I couldn't even begin to tell you and explain how that really meant for me. So with that, let me go to let me find a document for you on page 1. And what I want to do with page 1 is show you. This is page 1 for your day 1, so to speak. It's not really page 1. So day 1, I remember distinctively when I wrote this coming out of me. It is just basically, it was almost self-reflecting in the voice that it came to me. It says, are you ready? That literally means that, am I ready to embark into this journey, to be able to change my life, to be able to change my way of doing things, and now really commit myself to bring this information, knowledge to the world, and then be a part of it to make sure that those who have questions can obtain answers for them. Those who need assistance could be helped in ways that we may not know. And ultimately, to take ownership, to recognize that we are all as one, and we need to help all because we are as one. So with that being the driver for me, the key, day 1 says, are you ready? And it says, are you ready too? Just those 2 lines. If you woke up and you started your 365 method and you look at that, it's not just reading words. It's literally asking you, are you prepared? What am I preparing for? That's probably the most honest question. Is, are you ready? What am I preparing for? Well, I can pretty much tell you what you are preparing for is the change. You see what I mean? You are preparing for the change. Now you have to ask yourself, well, what am I preparing to change then? I can assure you that through my experience and my practices, whether it's in martial arts, whether it's in business, whether it's in music composition or mastering an instrument, it requires me, the person who is in the moment, to make that decision, to make that commitment, to make that jump, to ultimately embrace this opportunity to become me, to invite this part of me to explore, to flourish, to become. I come from a non-musical family. So for me to play music and become a musician was extremely satisfying and extremely different and out of ordinary on my family tree. But because of that experience taught me greatly in regards to what mastering, self refining and sharpening, all these things. And then ultimately, because I did these things, I was good enough to become a teacher. And as a teacher of music and music instruments, I have been doing that since I was 18 years old. So that's well over 3 decades. That allowed me to really understand the learning aptitude of the individual. And this is a key where I also now recognize the importance of me doing the podcast and being able to talk to everyone, to be able to answer questions, to be able to be assisting, to maybe, to carry, to handheld, to whatever it may be that requires me to do to help us all as one. So I'm extremely excited for the opportunity. And if you look at the remaining of that page 1, it talks about, let's see here, The answer you arrive will offer you the path you should be. Isn't that funny? Ask yourself a question. Are you going to get the answer? Do you like the answer? What kind of answer was it? How often do you ask yourself questions that you did not know the answer yourself? And then how many times have you asked the question and you already knew the answer? These are all amazing treats and feats and greatness experiences that comes from you. And if you notice the last line, hint at the 1 yard line. Now, that could be interpreted, of course, in many different ways, right? What could that actually mean to you? What could that actually mean to anyone? So let's swap that out. What we're going to do now is we're going to remove that page and going to go to the workbook page. Here's our workbook page. So our daily message. Our daily message is, are you ready? Are we ready to do something? Or what are we going to do? What is the inner truth surfacing for you today? That's interesting, isn't it? What is it surfacing? What is your inner self telling you at this moment when you ask these questions? Are you ready to make a change? Are you committed to make a change? Do you want a change? So your inner truth is going to start coming out, asking you to answer these questions. How does this message apply to your current experience? Okay, so again, with the book in your hand and you're going through this experience of the 365 method, this is only day one. You're thinking, I'm in here for an entire year. What is my current experience? Am I overwhelmed? Am I thinking to myself, am I crazy? Or am I extremely excited because I found a system that I can develop greatness? I can develop, the sharpening, the refinement, and the just all the things that I thought I couldn't do, I now have the possibility of doing because I now have a way of a path to go somewhere that I currently or in the past have not experienced. So that's great. So we also, now you recognize that we have a checklist. So what are the checklists asking me? Why do we even need a checklist? Let's think about that for a second. Let's step back for a second and really think about it. Why do we need a checklist? Well, because it could be very overwhelming. Organization, to organize, is probably one of the biggest detriment to people who fail because they're not organized. So therefore they can never really follow up correctly, or they don't organize. They don't know what priorities are. These are all little things that, well, what does it make the difference by being good organizer versus a bad organizer? A good organizer, I can pretty much assure that they get things done and can tell you how they did it. A bad organizer often will go, well, I haven't got there yet, and I'm not quite sure where this is, but I'll look for it. So now with that example, you can see it's extremely important to be able to recognize the self. What do you need? Identifying. You got to know what you need. So identifying one limited belief to release today. What have you done that's not being good to you that you can let go? What do you believe in that is just absolutely not contributing to your best? So you need to do things like that. You need to think about things like that, because if you don't, what happens? You just go on and keep on repeating the same things, and you will be repeating the same frustrations. The same frustrations does what? The same frustrations make you then get upset, have angst, maybe even physical illness, unhappy with people around you, unhappy with the ones you love. You can't quite understand why you're irritated. All these little things becomes part of the equation. So what you want to do is to make sure that you are aware. Are you putting on your awareness? Are you getting into your awareness? Are you being the awareness? So with that, let's go back to check item 2, create a new empowering affirmation. It's extremely important to talk to yourself in a positive way. Because realistically, without that, what actually happens? How many people we know that has a bad influence on themselves by constantly putting themselves down, by constantly recognizing the negative results that's happening to them opposed to the positive results? How many people emphasize only results but never the journey? How many people out there are constantly beating themselves up because that's all they know and that's what feels right? So these are things that hopefully that you will slowly but surely remove from your system. Now, the third checkbox says take one inspired action aligned with your goal. Again, you notice this is all about you. This is about you creating. This is about you doing. And with that, you always have to look at is what do you find exciting? And there's nothing wrong with you taking the reins, deciding what's exciting. What do I want to do? What do I find that the key component of something that can make this something into something glorious, fantastic, phenomenal? So it's about you having to take action. Now, the last thing, the action step, write one paragraph in a journal about how you are evolving through today's energy. Wow, very simple. How are you feeling right now? How excited are you? I can tell you, for me, it's extremely fulfilling. So I feel enriched. It's like eating a great meal, you know, that feeling of perfectly satisfied in the moment that I'm in. And why do I feel that? Because I am here now creating this energy to be with you and to enhance our relationship, to embellish what we think was good into becoming what is great. And then ultimately, the most satisfying is I'm making a difference. You're making a difference. We're making a difference. That is the part that is so exciting to me. It is the ultimate excitement when you are at that point of your life, when you're making the difference for everyone. You, especially when you have loved ones that you care about. And you can sit here and argue the point and saying, well, I can tell them, but you recognize you tell people how to be better. They don't really do and become better. But if you share and you develop an intention and a strategy and a plan to reach optimal results, then ultimately that is better. That will be better just because of it. So with that, I would like for every one of you to embrace love with passion, with gratitude. This is something incredible that we're starting right here. And this is a movement in the education, in the knowledge that we should all share, because we want to be able to have free will, to converse with intelligence, with love in our hearts, with compassion and empathy to each other, and to share the knowledge and experience that we all endured so everyone can benefit in the greatness and the goodness of it. With that being said, visit us at yayu.publishing.com, Yayu, Y-A-Y-U, publishing.com. There you will be able to see that we have sample chapters in the bookstore, and as well as that we have our bookstore where you can go get these books. And I challenge every one of you to stay in contact with me. You can find me on the internet. Trust me, there is no reason where you could never say, well, you know, JSW 432, he's Jeff, I don't know how to get a hold of him. And he just, you know, not available. Not true. I am very available. I have been told is my being here is my contribution and my commitment for all of us here. So my best to all of you with all the love and all the greatness of intent for you to be successful at the 365 method.